what changes if a teacher is tenured? I've had people ask, if a teacher is tenured and then they provide a doctor's excuse saying they don't need to be in a school population, how do we handle that? We're going to try to accommodate, but what if they run out of sick days? Maybe they don't qualify for FCRA leave. This slide reminds us all about FCRA leave, summary style. We've been teaching from this slide repeatedly, so I won't go back through it, but suffice it to say that reasons 2 and 3 are probably going to be pretty common as we resume school, where they've got the advice by a healthcare provider to self-quarantine. When do we have a self-quarantine versus we recommend that you don't join the school population? I think that's going to be actually something that we have a lot of, where a doctor says, we think school's too dangerous, but they actually said you have to quarantine. So talk to them about that. Does it matter if they're tenured? Does it matter what the doctor says?
So it shouldn't. I've been thinking through that tenured question, and I can think of in some maybe worst case scenarios, tenure is going to come up. Let me play through that. So let me give you 2 scenarios. Let's say you have a non-tenured teacher that's been offered a job. So remember, when you offer that person, the non-tenured employee, a job for, let's say, the 2020-2021 school year, for that school year, they are a contracted employee, right? They have a 1-year contract with the school system to provide those teaching services. That means you can't take that away. Honestly, to terminate, people always forget this, but to terminate an employee mid-year, whether they're tenured or not, is really the same process, right? You'd have to have a hearing. They get the right to challenge it. They get a right to a hearing officer. If I try to terminate a non-tenured or a tenured employee in October, it's the exact same process. The only difference is that non-tenured teacher at the end of that year, you can non-renew them for any reason you want or no reason. It can be no cause. That's the difference, is they only have that, what we call a property right for that 1 year. But during this year, this school year, we're going to treat them all the same. So they're going to have the same ADA rights, the same contract rights, the same everything. One example that could be different, though. Let's say that employee that is a tenured employee just all of a sudden, like Marissa just referenced, loses all their leave. They use their FCRA under Category 2, and they use those 14 days, and they still want to be off. So they have 20 sick days left. They have a doctor's note that says, I'm going to use my 20 sick days. Then you have to decide, okay, well, after those sick days, they're still not coming back to work, and they've gone radio silent. You would think that that's just plain job abandonment, and in most private settings it would be. But to terminate that person, if they just flat out went off the radar, if they're tenured, you'd have to go through the tenured process of termination. That would mean the director would have to recommend charges to the board publicly during a meeting. The board would have to approve those charges. The director would then have to send out the charges to the employee, giving them 30 days to request a hearing. And then it's a very exhaustive process. So even something as simple as job abandonment, if they're tenured, you'd have to go through those steps. That's why I was saying that's a worst case scenario. But most of the time, you're going to treat them all the same.